This is Scammed in their own words, a Joe Knows Better conversation with people like you who may have never thought they'd be involved in a scam, but it happened. Some lost thousands of dollars, others got out before they lost anything, and all are sharing their stories to keep you from the same fate. This is Joe Ducey with Michelle Marin, the BBB Director of Operations. We're here at the Phoenix Podcast Center, and we are talking with someone in their words only. We don't have a camera on them. It's somebody who is a scam survivor, and we felt this was really interesting because this involves one of those scams that you don't typically hear about. This is someone that the person knew, somebody they were close to in some way, and it wasn't just this scam that happened on the internet when somebody you don't know. So it's really a wake-up call, Michelle, isn't it, for people who to know, just to really keep their eye out for what could be happening right in front of them.
Yeah, we like to think scammers that are behind a screen or on your phone, and this is a really good example that scammers go beyond that method.
Yeah. So, okay, we have on the line here Anne. And Anne, appreciate you being with us.
Thank you so much. So I have written many reports on this person that I did know him, and the banks and money remittance company doubted me that I even knew him because, they're like, this is an atypical situation. I'm like, well, yes, it is. And, with how, I met him like a few times, but mostly the communication was online, but like with how intrusive he was, it felt like he was right next to me.
Let's start at the beginning. If you can, just kind of go back to the time before you. I don't know if you knew this person from a while ago or when this kind of started. How did it start? Did it start online, then it was in person, or how did that go?
Yeah.
No, it started in person, and then I was on social media, and he talked to me again. It's like, hey, I'm so and so. It's been a long time, and I'm like, okay, great. And everything seemed fine at first, and then he kept having money issues. And this is where, my generosity kind of took the better, of the situation, and where he took advantage of that, basically.
Now, at this point, is it just something online, just at that point? You knew him from before in person, but this was it just kind of online back and forth? Was he in the same area or a different area? He at that point moved to another country or whatever. So yeah, at that point it was sort of like an online deal. And I, was working a lot anyway. So it's like in person, and I was, out of state myself. So, I was also, working out of state or whatever. I was still, I'm still in the States, but, But you knew him you did know him from before. Like you actually met him.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And did it involve, would you say at the beginning, did it start off with anything that he was trying to be romantic in any way? Was he trying to kind of?
Sort of, but I'm married, so I kind of ignored it.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I told him, I'm like, I'm married.
Yeah.
You're like,
I'm married. I'm still married. Yes, yeah. I'm good. Yeah. But, he was trying to push that angle many times, and I'm like, look, I really care about you.
Sure.
So that's how, it kind of happened. And, like a good analogy for this is it's like being a frog, okay, and you're put in water. And the water's not boiling right away. It's actually lukewarm. It feels kind of good. You're having a good friendship. Things are going well. You're willing to help them out. You feel good about helping. And then you realize as this goes along, this is like the water's getting hotter. It's like, okay, this is starting to boil. This is starting to hurt. But you don't really know what's going on. That's what was happening with me. Like I didn't know the full scale. And what makes this worse is that it wasn't just him. It was his sister somehow got involved because she and I became like friends, and I met her online or whatever. And, all of that.
So it starts off with him with somebody that you met in person. So when he engages with you online, you think, hey, I've met this person. I trust him. I know who he is. What was some of like the first things that he claimed as to why you needed to help him out? What were some of the reasons that he gave you?
Basic, like, food money or travel money for his job or whatever. Like he was out of work supposedly for a while, which, makes sense from where I'm standing, because like in America, okay, well, that makes sense. So it's like,
right.
And basically, he kept claiming I'm the only person that can help, blah, 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 and all of that, and it's kind of weird how I strangely understood how that psychology worked.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm like, okay. And I just, kind of kept helping, and, I started to, go ahead.
Did it take a while to get to that point where how many conversations do you think there were before? And was this all done in text?
No, there were some phone calls, and there were some, WhatsApp chat logs. So, I mean, a lot of it was text, thank God.
No video.
Because I have record of it, thank God.
Yeah.
But
but no
not
video.
Everything. No.
Okay. All right. So you didn't see him there. You talked to him otherwise. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I have anxiety with videos anyway,
Okay.
So that didn't really work out that well for me, but worked out perfectly for him. But anyway,
when you look back at the beginning, just what was there manipulation going on before he got to the point of money? What was he saying? Were there things was he trying to like become your friend a lot, or just try to warn people about when they hear these kinds of things, what could happen after?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The thing about it is it was kind of like, it was like abnormally warm. Let me just put it that way,
Okay.
because most people, even when you get to like meet them again, they're not like texting as much, you know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm a person that values deep conversations and relationships, but even I still have things to do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be looking back, it was like he was really forward, and I'm not even that forward, even if I want something.
Yeah.
So that
Okay.
was a red flag in hindsight, but not that I, and these things do happen, unfortunately, and it's just like a warning sign of hindsight's always 20/20.
Of course.
So that's the thing about it, and and especially the red flag thing that is said is, you're the only one who can help.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a red flag that I learned throughout this journey.
All right.
And of course, I've explained that many times.
What did you? What are some of the instances? If you can just list them, if you can. Like, what did he say? He had, he needed to get back to the country, needed money. He wanted to, he had sickness and he needed. These are the typical things you hear in these situations.
Yes,
what did he say?
All of that and more. Yes, sir. All of that and more. And basically, it's like, well, I need to go back to my home country, because originally he was from, the southernmost country in Africa, and he needed to go back there for some family things and this and that and the other. For food, or his sister's sick, or his brother's sick, or his mother's sick. I mean, it was everything in the kitchen sink you could think of. I heard it all. So
okay,
it was more than just a couple things. It was like ongoing, multiple times a day. Like, and I want to tell everybody something, that when your brain is going on like urgency, you're not thinking logically. Like the logic part of because you're thinking survival. You're in survival mode. From the urgency, it's in your mind how urgent it is. So you're not really thinking things through. You just want to solve the problem, which is unfortunately how these kind of things work.
Because you keep in it. Yeah.
What were some of the things?
Yes, and you can't separate it. I'm sorry.
No, yeah. I think for listeners, what were some of the things that, now looking back, like created that sense of urgency, that it did remove that critical thinking that otherwise maybe you would have taken a step back and said, no, hold on, this doesn't sound right. How did he bring that urgency so apparent to where you felt like you needed to do that in that moment?
It was like the constant harassing messages and quotes saying like, within 12 hours, there's going to be irreversible consequences if you don't help. Like, this is really severe. Like, this person, and it's like, this is like, we don't have health insurance to cover this, or, we literally, or somebody's going to pass away or something like that.
Wow, he was putting that on you?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So when did it get to the point where you said, okay, I'm going to send some money. I'm going to do this. What triggered that, and how much did you originally send, or was this all at once?
No, this wasn't all at once. It was over time, and it's kind of, it's embarrassing to say how many times it was, but it was over 100. Let me just put it that way.
Okay.
That's how deep in it I was. Wow. And then I didn't even realize what was happening until I looked back and went, I did what?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you were caught up
it was like, it was in disbelief. And honestly, that's the detail I do not tell personally. I tell it to only the regulators, the banks, and the running remittance company, because they see the translate logs. Mm-hmm. Like I do not tell that in person, because they would not understand at all, like the psychology, unless you're in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think I have time to really explain, how, my family's reacting to it. Oh. And like they want to, they want to assign fault, even though there is none, because they don't understand the type of, they don't understand the mechanics of authorized push payment, which is essentially my type of fraud.
Yeah.
And all of that. And this happened to be a total of $5,154 that I'd lost through the whole process and all of that, and me trying to recover everything, because I have to assume that everything was a lie based on, the pattern.
This was $5,000, and you said you had about 100 different times. So it was minimal amounts each time that he kept asking for small amounts, which may not warn people of what's going on, because it's not a big amount. It may be $50, right, or $100 here and there.
Yes.
That keeps you going?
Yes. Because, it's like I said, it's like the frog in the water, where it's like it's gradually getting hotter. And then they say something so dramatic that you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is alarming, to where you're not the only victim they want now. They want your whole family. And what my family doesn't realize is that I'm reporting it to protect them.
Yeah.
Because he was going after them. And I'm like, no.
He was going after them. He tried?
Yes. And
you found out who your contacts were.
Yes.
Wow.
It was scary. And I literally I reported immediately. I'm like, this is serious. I'm like, I got to stop this guy. Mm-hmm. And he was even contacting my family members on social media, and I had to sound the alarm bells. Like it was like, I was in red alert. I was going, I got to tell everybody about this guy right now. I don't want him harming another soul.
Because before that, my guess is you didn't say anything, because I would guess you didn't feel like you really wanted to say anything if nobody else was involved. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I even though I kind of had private conversations where it's like, man, like what is with this guy? Like, why does he need money so much? And like, this isn't normal. Like something's going on here. Like, and I was asking, I was suspicious, but suspicion does not equal confirmation. Like, because I can suspect all I want, but if I'm wrong, that can come back on me.
Yeah.
So that's why I needed the facts. I needed the information before I reported. And I'm trying to not get into the emotional thing. I'm trying to stay factual, because, that's the time we have. So I'm trying to explain the facts as best as I can.
Would you send this by like a payment app? Did he ask for it that way?
Yes. Yeah, it was Money Remittance Company.
Okay. Did he suggest that?
Yes.
Okay. And you guys communicate mostly on WhatsApp?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Looking back, would you say that would you tell people those might be red flags?
I would say that the certain company is, yes, 100%. And I can tell you why, because like that company, I told this story more the information than you guys have. And your company does have all the information and all the reports that I sent. So you guys know the story, but basically they've denied me and stonewalled me, and that company has actually failed to do due diligence. So I'm more upset with them.
Okay.
The company that did not catch the flags that, they were supposed to catch, because I was not a fraud expert. I certainly am getting there now. Like I'm at least intermediate. Like I could pick it up faster than the own company. And they refuse to escalate me. That's the thing about it. A lot of times they would drop calls. They would, give me bad service. They wouldn't investigate properly. In fact, I've talked to the recipient bank more than they have, if you want to know the truth. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
like they would tell me a lot of lies. I've caught them. I caught the company in a lot of lies.
Michelle and
you know what I mean?
We're talking about this earlier. It seems like in the cases where we see scams, people can't get their money back, and many times it's gone through it could have gone through a Zelle or a Venmo or something like that. But they basically say that the person okayed the transaction, so they can't stop it and they're not responsible. What would you say to that?
That, unfortunately, that is what they say in policy, but they're not taking into consideration authorized push payment. Other countries, they would totally understand that immediately. America is so behind on that philosophy because they don't. What that means is they're not exposed to that. Their policies are so rigid. Yeah, which is they're pushing the payment through the customer being urgent. Like they're not thinking straight. They're not taking the time to look back on it, and they're not considering the psychology of the sender of that, which other countries understand because they've gone through the process. They've read the chat logs and they know what signals are there. And my chat log has every one of them, but America is not educated on that kind of fraud. And I've done my own research, on this because I'm living it right now. I'm breathing that situation. Like it's not just a background noise for me. It's
what's it doing to you? What are you going through?
Honestly, I'm going through a lot of mistrust. I'm going through trying to figure out what happened really exactly, and how to inform people that this is a new type of fraud where the recipient actually gets inside the sender's head. Okay,
like a manipulation.
And manipulation, emotional manipulation, financial manipulation. I mean, it's pretty unreal actually, the situation. And it is hard to keep facts from feelings, which, luckily I'm trying to get good at that. Yeah. To where it's the only way to survive it is to just, what are the facts? What is on black and white?
Let me ask you this.
That's how we're going to solve this.
From people listening, they may say, and we hear this all the time, and Michelle and I've talked to enough people who are scam survivors that we kind of know, it can happen to anybody. At any time,
anybody.
It's just that if you're not involved with it, you don't know. So that's how these people work.
Correct.
It seems like once you get involved, did you feel like you couldn't get out because you already at the point you realized that, oh gosh, I'm giving this person so much money, this may not be cool. Did you feel like I have to stay in it to get the money back?
Yes, exactly. And it was there were a lot of times where I'm like, okay, dude, I need to be repaid right now because I'm struggling. Here, and you're mocking me about this. And it's no, I'm tired of you making me go through hoops to get my own money back.
And if you stopped engaging, you were scared that
never get it back.
You would never get it back.
Yes.
So you kept engaging, and that sometimes led to more money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and that's the scary part because once you're in it, it's but you don't know when to report because the facts are not there yet for people to see clearly. It took me a few months to get the facts of, okay, this is definite. This is frightening to where it's the red flags are going off because when you're in it, you don't know. And it's like a fog. It's like a fog of war where you don't really know what's happening.
Did he,
and that's scary.
What is to other people listening now too, is there anything that you can mention to kind of, I know it's going to be tough for people who haven't been involved. They're going to say, well, that wouldn't happen or whatever, but we all know it does.
It can happen to anybody.
It can happen to anybody.
It can happen to Yeah.
What did they use? What were there some triggers? I know Michelle asked this a little bit earlier, but some triggers that he had after you gave money. Did he praise you? Did he say, "Oh"?
Yeah. Okay. God bless and all of that, and I'm Christian, so it really affected me in a way where it's it was like a positive reinforcement. Mm-hmm. So it's it was kind of like the rat trying to get the cheese, where it's I did this and I got that. So I mean, it was like a spiritual reward, and that's it's scary because you're watching your bank account go down and it's fast and it's oh my gosh, and you're and when you try to tell them look, this is stressful, and then they try to talk you over. It's basically like manipulation, and it's a deep form, and it is something else.
Yeah, it
And
sounds.
it's hard to, it's the psychology of it. It actually hijacks the brain. So there is no way in which you are even able to make a proper decision when your mind's hijacked that much.
Okay.
And I know, and I've heard of many people that have went through
Oh yeah,
what I have.
a lot of people. A lot of people,
Yeah,
and that's why we really appreciate you being here, talking to people, because we know in many cases, once the money's gone, it's gone, and so it's all about prevention in the first place. And yeah, so that's kind of why we really like talking to you about what's happening. So where do you go from here? What's your next step?
From here, I still have stops. I mean, I told I want a refund based on bad service.
Okay.
Because it's not just him. It's the company stonewalled me. They've never got back to me about an update when they said they would. They never, like 9 out of 10, the supervisors never called back. And in fact, most of the time they claimed the supervisors were not even in the office, which that is strange to me.
Yeah. Because
how are you working if there's no supervisor above you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and there have been times when I've caught them in lies where it's like, sometimes they tell me there's nobody available, and then sometimes I get escalated, no problem. So it's very inconsistent. So I've had to go the backdoor route. And my case is so clear that, there is a possibility because, I even have the recipient bank talking to me about what happened. Because, again, other people from other countries know this type of fraud. They are very familiar with it. So they know what it is. And they see the chat logs.
We're going to have to, this has been a really interesting conversation. I really appreciate you opening up. I know this hasn't been easy. Ending here, are there a couple, maybe two things that you would say to people about these types of scams, and maybe as a warning about what could happen, or how, if they're presented with this, or the one thing that happened during the conversations that kind of led you to do some of these things? Just a couple things to end with.
Basically, I'm going to leave with the suggestion. I want to say trust and verify. And I mean, if it's that much, start asking for paperwork, start asking for proof. And if they can't provide it, do not give under any circumstance. If there is no paperwork, do not
paperwork
do anything.
Showing that why they need the money.
Yes.
Okay.
If there is a reason, I mean, or, or at least set a boundary of this may be the last time, and the answer is no. And do not stray. Be strong. Like, be firm and be strong. That 100%. That you've got to be. Yeah. Okay.
And
because like that's the way you have to protect your mind. Like, because basically it's not your wallet that got hijacked. It's your own mind. And if you're empathetic, be careful.
Okay. It sounds like you have put up some borders and some things that you've done since you had this experience, and that's great. And we wish you the best. Thank you for this. It was great talking to you, and no problem. I wish you the best in the future, Michelle and I do.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. So you're welcome. Have a great day, guys.
All right.
You too.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.